For every one Boilermaker working right now, there's approximately 2.4 retirees collecting a pension. We have cases of Boilermakers that are getting the pension longer than they were Boilermakers.
If you watch the news, you are hearing about pensions failing or retirees that are getting their pensions reduced.
If you read the paper, any one of them, Wall Street Journal, you look at some other crap that actually have no pensions left.
We know from our consultants and our actuaries that work on a lot of other plans, there's a lot of them that are in really deep trouble.
Do a Google how many people have a pension plan and they don't exist anymore. We don't want to get there. We're doing the right thing preventatively to protect our pension so that we don't have participants struggling like other trades have right now.
The Boilermakers National Fund's goal is always protecting the Boilermaker family. That's the goal of the funds, that's the goal of the trustees, that's the goal of everyone.
We're a separate entity and we just focus on the benefits. So that's the pension and the health and welfare and the annuity benefits.
It's a generational skill and trade. We're taking care of someone's grandpa, someone's father. When we look at taking care of benefits, we have them a lifetime.
We have to make sure that everybody now that has a pension and all those that, before us that had a pension and all those after us have a pension.
The Boilermakers National Pension Trust is administered by two sources of trustees, equal numbers from labor and management.
Our trustees are so passionate themselves that it's really hard to not buy in. If you can't buy in, you're not going to fit in well here. Trustees that sit in a room together, hear from their consultants, hear from us, and have to take data and analysis, recommendations, and they're the ones that ultimately make those decisions. I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know that there's a word to describe how important that is to them, that they go home every night and they've got to lay their head on their pillow too and know they've done the right thing.
The International Brotherhood of Boilermaker, from the president on down, unless they were a trustee, has nothing to do or say about the Boilermaker National Trust, pension, or annuity.
As an ERISA plan, the dollars come into Boilermakers National Fund. Those dollars don't go out except to pay for benefits.
So let me just explain a little misconceptions with the money that comes in from the employer contributions. So when that money is paid into the Boilermakers National Fund's two employer contributions in Kansas City to our third-party administrator, that money goes into the bank to be dispersed to where that's going to be invested. There is not one dime, not one single penny that ever touches the International Brotherhood of Boilermakers. It's a trust fund. We are regulated by the Department of Labor. We're audited constantly. Our investments are audited constantly. We audit ourselves.
So every day we talk to our business partners, but we audit their work. So they like us some days and they don't like us others. We have a lot of folks that have a lot of experience here. This team of 13, in between negotiations and savings of the benefit design changes that we sometimes have to be forcing them to do for us, and management and audits of their processing, this team of 13 makes up about $82 million in savings in 2016 alone. We have a high expectation for anyone that works on this team.
Our main goal, our main purpose is to take care of the Boilermakers, our participants, and their families.
You get a lot of questions from Boilermakers. How did this happen? Why is this? Why is that? Challenges with investments, contributions, missing time. Got hit in 2008, 2009, lost $2.5 billion. We have not recovered that yet. We have a decline in man hours just because of government policy. You've all seen it, you've all read about it. Those are all huge factors in how a plan survives. We have an obligation as trustees to keep the plan stable. If we were to sit there and know that we were in a bind and did nothing, the trustees are personally liable for not fixing the plan.
So under the Pension Protection Act, one of the things that the Department of Labor established were what they call zones. And so there's a green zone, a yellow zone, and a red zone. And so we were green for many years, and then in 2010, we certified in the yellow zone. But just as of April 1st this year, the pension trustees have elected to go into the red zone. It's just one mechanism or additional tool that the trustees have to make some plan changes and to actually increase the funding percentage as quick as possible.
Critical status means you're on the verge of giving it over to the insurance company that you will not have much of a pension left. We're not anywhere near close to that stage.
A few things that haven't changed are, first of all, the retirees, there's no change to any of their benefits. There's no change to the minimum contribution rate. The basic pension at age 65 is not changing. Most of these changes are just related to the early retirement reductions. There's some other things, but the main ones are the early retirement changes.
Many of my friends who have not retired, and many of them are still working today, are 54 years old, and they're going to be 55 November 1st. My phone's ringing off the hook. When I get done explaining to them why we're doing this and why we have to do that, a lot of them have said, well, I was probably going to stay till I was 58 anyways. I guess I can make 60. Painful as it is to stay a few years longer, that's what's going to save this plan.
One of the changes is to add what they call a grandfathered active. And a grandfathered active participant is someone who, by September 30th of 2017, has worked at least 3,000 hours in the last 3 years or 36 months. But also, they have to be at least age 55 with 35 years pension credit or age 58 with 30 years of pension credit.
Grandfathering is good for the fund for the 1,300 to 1,400 current Boilermakers right now, because if they all retired at the same time, it's a huge draw at the higher pensions to the plan. There's a lot of people that think that it's done for a special group of Boilermakers. It is not. It is done for the recovery plan to work sooner. That's our only goal. Save the Boilermakers National Pension Plan for everyone behind us.
And I think what's awesome is that our trustees are being proactive and saying, okay, here's what we can do, here's what the law allows us to do. Let's be proactive and make some changes, and let's turn the ship around and head in the right direction.
We must continue to recruit young people. We must do everything we can to get man hours. That's the goal of the funds, that's the goal of the trustees, that's the goal of everyone.
The Boilermaker family, calling it a family is very important to us because it's not just our Boilermakers out there working, it's their children and their wives. We're all in this together. And so it's important that we stay cohesive and we take care of one another. And that's what a union's all about, is taking care of each other. It's about family.